I turned down working for Whitney Houston because I was working for Aretha, and I didn't have time.
You turned down
I turned it down.
George Martin produced this?
You don't know that? How come you guys don't know that?
And Jeff Emmerich engineered it.
Let me slap somebody. Let me slap somebody in here.
Slap both of us.
Let me slap somebody.
No idea he
We should
engineered
leave,
this record.
man. We should.
You don't have to leave.
We should get
You don't
out.
have to leave. I'll let y'all. I'm compassionate.
Hello and welcome back to Professional Musicians React.
Today we are doing Jeff Beck, Come Dancing, Whitney Houston, I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Here we go. Let's dive in and listen.
Two bass strokes.
I love those changes.
Very pockets. Yeah, it does.
5 Fuck, that is so good.
Oh my God.
That is so good.
This is Narada Michael Walden. He's a legendary producer and drummer. He's won 3 Grammys, played with Jocko, Jeff Beck. He has 57 #1 hits with artists like Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, and many, many more.
You guys just sound so tight. Your time together is incredible. Had you guys been playing together for a long time?
No, Jeff and the bassist William Bascom with Bernard Purdie were on tour with Mahavishnu Orchestra, which was the band I was with. So I got a chance to watch Jeff a lot and watch Wilbur with Bernard and Max nightly. So I could kind of like decode
You had a sense their feel.
what Jeff magic was, and then making a new album, what he might need, because he says, come to London and I need material. So I was finishing the 3rd Mahavishnu Orchestra album in France at the Hunky Chateau. Flew from there to the UK, met with Jeff, and went right into the rehearsal in the basement of a small house where Max Middleton had his piano, Jeff guitar, and Wilbur. And they ran through a piece called Lead Boots. And Lead Boots, I had a tiny cassette machine with me, and then was able to record Lead Boots, which I'm glad I recorded because I would have forgotten that pattern. But just after that, they said, we need more material. So then in the mixing of the Mahavishnu Orchestra album at Trident Studios across the street, I went down by the piano and wrote this song, Come Dancing.
You
Sophie,
wrote this song.
Play With Me, and Love Is Green.
Wow.
And really quickly showed it to Jeff, rehearsed them really quickly, cut them. You're hearing the fresh cut
How long after writing is this recorded then?
at the same time.
So like that day.
Not that day, but within the same sessions. I would write it, show Jeff, give the approval, he liked it, show Max the chords, show the bass the chords, cut them. And then what it might take time is Jeff would be like on that solo, for example,
Yeah.
he would come back in the control room
And
and want to experiment with the best sound of an octave divider, whatever it was, for his great solos.
So he'd play solos in the control room.
Yes, and this time he might take like about 9 or 10 different takes. And he'd be very clear which would be the record, and which would be him just kind of figuring out what he was going to do.
Was he producing this record? Who produced?
No, the great Beatles producer, Sir George Martin, produced this record.
George Martin produced this?
You don't know that?
And
How
Jeff
come you guys don't know that?
And Jeff Emmerich engineered it.
Let me slap
this is
somebody.
like-
Let me slap somebody in here.
Slap both of us.
Let me slap somebody.
Jeff Emmerich is
We should
the
leave.
best engineer ever.
You guys don't know that?
I have no idea he
We should
engineered
leave,
this
man.
record.
We should.
You don't have to leave.
We should get
You
out.
don't have to leave. I'll let y'all. I'm compassionate.
So wait,
my
did
God.
you? So you
fun.
wrote these changes. You
That's
wrote
funny.
these changes, and then the like basically the head and the melody, and then okay. So okay,
Yes. My left hand's the bass.
Yeah.
The right hand's the Rhodes stuff. I sing to Jeff the melody, and that becomes a song.
and that's it.
Yeah. But I knew what to do for Jeff from watching him on tour. I knew that if it was Stank on the bottom with Stevie S type Pretty on the top, that combination is where Jeff can like really fly.
What do you mean stank on the bottom? Like that flack six kind of thing? Like that kind of stuff?
And the groove. Yes.
That kind of vibe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anything that's nasty on the bottom.
Yeah.
The outhouse.
Yeah.
The ghetto bottom.
Right.
To be honest about it. North side of Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
You know, the south side of Chicago.
Yeah.
And you put that up under something kind of pretty. Oh, and go to a pretty section where he can do all the stuff, but against the pretty. That combination is like, he handles it so incredibly well that he makes it like live. Squid do 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 you, Stevie.
So were you?
Squid do do do, bang the who comes in. Squid do we do you.
and you're singing those parts to Jeff, and
That's
you're,
it.
oh, wow.
What's Wilbur Bascom Jr.'s deal?
Oh, he's the tightest cat because Bernard Purdy.
How'd you meet him?
Who you all know, the genius
Yeah.
drummer, brought him on the tour that we did. And then at the end of the show, we'd come together, both bands,
Yeah.
and play together.
Huh.
So I got a chance to actually play with Bernard and
Yeah.
feel his pocket.
Oh
and so
my God.
you're witnessing his influence upon me in that kind of pocket. Because
Yeah.
he's the king of that pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Do you remember what your kit, so your kit sounds fucking dynamite in this recording. Do you remember what the kit was?
Yeah, that's my early kit that I used on all the things back at that time. Mahavishnu Orchestra, Weather Report, Tommy Bolin, him. It was a white Gretsch kit that was made for when I first joined Mahavishnu Orchestra. After Billy Cobham had been there with clear Fives drums, I needed something that would be like loud
Yeah.
and crisp and clear. So I went to a place called Frank's Drum Shop in New York. It's a very, very high, holy, and royal place. In there, you meet all your heroes. And then Frank, I would say, I need drums from Mahavishnu Orchestra that would be really, really incredible. And I want them to be white and wood. And he said, you know what we have to do then? We'll take a white Gretsch kit and we'll spray the inside of those drums with enamel twice round. And what it will do is it'll make that drum speak. And he was right.
Oh my God.
Ging, ging, goo-goo-doo-doo-goo. They just come to life.
Yeah.
Is it the same kit on that Jocko song, Come On, Come Over?
No, that's Bobby Columbia's drums in his studio. Bobby was the producer of that, and his home studio in either Connecticut or New Jersey, where it was. And he had his drum set, and I sat in on those drums.
Awesome.
Can I hear the drum kit again? I want to hear the drum kit because it's just such
Yeah.
a killing kit. Oh my God. And
That
that
groove.
groove is so good.
And that's Jeff Emmerich, by the way.
Yeah.
Jeff Emmerich, the
right.
great engineer for the Beatles.
Totally.
Insane.
That was his
Totally.
work, you know?
Yeah, in terms of
Insane.
the sounds.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just to hang out on Wilbur for a second. I feel like nobody knows about this guy.
There are certain bass players
Yeah.
that just know how to lock onto a drummer.
Yeah.
I mean, every move,
Yeah.
every little thing is like,
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
not, it's not a
Yes.
problem. He in particular is just so sticky. And if I taught him anything or showed him anything, he made it all sound so natural.
Yeah.
So he's really, really a bit of a genius cat,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, truly.
And for example, he wrote Head for Backstage Pass.
Gotcha.
He's a mean cat.
So everybody in the band was writing shit for the record.
Yes.
And Jeff was
Yes.
a sponge.
This is a genius album. It truly is. Blow by Blow as well, and the music at that time.
Yeah.
And then just after this album, I wanted to kind of capitalize on the success, and I went to Jeff's house to write more music for a new album.
Yeah.
But at that time, Jeff really didn't want to play. He would just stay out by his cars and twiddle and fix the cars and come back in the house with his hands all full of grease. And that would go on for days. He just didn't want it. He said, you know what? I lost my confidence.
Lost his confidence.
Wow.
He said, I lost my confidence.
Wow.
So it happens to us. That's why I think he keeps progressing the way he does. He can lose the confidence, but get it back.
How did he
Back on
get
the
it
horse.
back?
Because he's a champion.
Did he just muster it up?
Because he's Jeff
Something-
Beck and he's a
something
champion.
happened?
And all champions find a way to win.
I think-
like the Boston Celtics, like Muhammad Ali, like anybody who's a genius finds a way to win.
Like the Warriors.
And my man Curry.
That's
Who's
right.
mean.
Are you friends with Quincy?
Very much so.
I met him at a party a long time ago, and we ended up next to each other. And I figured, okay, this is my one chance to ask Quincy a question. Like I was going through like a weird time in my life, and I asked Quincy. I was like, man, what do you do when like you're down and like stuff is just not working? And he goes, it's never happened to me.
There you go. Next question. Yeah. Never happened, bro.
Okay, cool. Let's talk about string arranging. Yeah.
But speaking of arranging, I have to say this. You hear horns on that track, right?
Yeah.
That's written by George Martin.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah. That explains so much.
I mean, in other words, I would show him the change, but he would arrange that for the horns. I never heard that when I was there. That I only heard when the album came out.
So those are
I never heard
overdubs.
Jan Hammer's overdubs. I never heard the horn overdubs. I never heard Ed Green's overdubs until I bought the record.
So how many people played live on that?
Max
In the-
Middleton, myself, Jeff Beck, and Wilbur.
That's it?
That's it.
Oh, and then the rest of them were put on after the fact. Okay, interesting.
I could talk about this record probably for 3 hours, but just give us the brief overview. So you're playing drums. You grew up in Kalamazoo.
Yes.
And you're playing drums in all these different bands, touring with people. How do you go from take us from there, 1975. Were you already producing records at that time?
No.
So how do you get from there in 75 to producing all of these smash hits in the 80s?
What's so wonderful is I have to tell you this.
Etc.
Thank you for that, asking that great question, because what is so pivotal in my life is this room where you sit. Because once I came to San Francisco, after Mob Vision Orchestra, after Jeff Beck, Weather Report, Tommy Bolin, all those things we had done, once I came to San Francisco in 78, I did a recording at the Wally Heider studio in the city with Bobby Clearmountain called The Dance of Life. I should have loved it, my dance type, my music. But then I realized that at Atlantic Records, there was a young girl named Stacey Lattisaw. Henry Allen had signed her. She was 11 years old, and I knew he wanted to have a hit for her. So I said, Henry, let me do 4 songs for her. And if you like them, I can finish the album. If you don't like them, you haven't lost that much, just 4 songs. He said, you're on. So I came back here to San Francisco, got Corrado Rustici on guitar, T.M. Stevens, and Frank Martin. Rehearsed those songs, Let Me Be Your Angel, Dynamite, Jump to the Beat, and My Love. And cut them in this room.
In this very room.
In this room. My drums sat right here. That same white kit you're hearing on that, Jeff Beck, sat here.
Oh my God.
And Tom Fly was over there. And we made those great recordings. And that became my first hit as a producer, out of this room.
Wow.
What? And that was what?
Do you
year?
understand what I'm trying to tell you people?
I think I do.
Out of this room.
What year?
That's
was
why when you all call,
Yeah.
I make time to come here.
Yeah.
Because I have to honor this great room.
Totally.
And I honor you too,
Yeah.
but honor the room.
What year was that you started producing? And how did you migrate your way from being a drummer to like getting into production work?
Just the love of music, really. And also Quincy Jones, you mentioned.
Yeah.
He's my mentor. He said to me on a phone call, we need more producers now. We need more helpers. And I really took that to heart. And I also
How'd you meet Quincy?
in LA. I don't know how I actually met him now, to be honest with you. But it was like instant kinship, friendship,
Yeah.
like what you had.
Yeah.
And also, he was just so beautiful.
Yeah.
I felt I could become really close, and we did, just as friends. I admired his work, of course, but
Yeah.
more than that, I just liked him as a person.
Right.
He was just so cool.
Yeah.
So I mean, I could talk to him.
Yeah.
And then he would say, like, we need more producers. So I took it more serious.
Well, you said we need more producers. We need more helpers.
We need more helpers.
Use the word helpers.
We need helpers.
Tell
and
me
I,
about
and I knew
that
that
work.
because
That's such
even
a
making my
easy-
own records, I knew I needed help for some time, And it was hard to always find the right help. So I knew what he was talking about. And we did need more people to kind of come in with the passion, the love, the care for the notes, the right arrangement, and get the singer to really know you can do better. Like a coach.
Yeah.
Do it again. No, you can do better.
Yeah, but it takes
all that.
It takes a specific type of person because you had the perspective. First of all, I think drummers seem to make incredible producers.
I think so too. It's the heartbeat.
Yes, and it's such a cool perspective from which to view everything. You know what I mean? Also, inside of a mix, mixes are usually drummers' perspective. Do you know what I mean? That the kick and snares is the center of the mix, and that's the center of the way you think about music.
And also rhythm. The rhythm on the top and the rhythm on the rhythm on the bottom,
Right.
and the rhythm on the top. The rhythm aspect in the voice is critical.
But
We don't talk about it, but those artists that understand rhythm
yeah,
maintain a long life.
Yeah.
And those that don't really understand that kind of fade away.
right.
The rhythm is that important in everything. And it's gotten even more that way.
And what do you mean by like artists who understand rhythm? Like what is
Those who can sing and find that pocket where it feels good with the drum and understand that. And it's just a natural thing. They can sell records and records and records and records and records because that rhythm thing feels so good. Of course, they sing in tune. Of course, it's a good melody. But that rhythm, as music became more rhythmic with Michael Jackson, Prince, even Madonna, all that, you had to be down with it. Or if you weren't, you faded away.
Yeah.
And is that one of the main things you're looking for when you're thinking about producing a new artist? Is like, can this singer like really sing in the pocket and make something feel good and line up with the kit and be sticky, as you mentioned, with the bass player and the drummer? Like, is it about that, the groove of that band together?
Yes, and another very important word, willingness. Because people are often, if they kind of shut back and then maybe their heart closes, people who are willing can learn it and can feel it and bring it out more and be like, student, try it this way. Oh, okay. Even the best, try it this way. Oh, okay. See? So that willingness in the studio, because guess what? That microphone, everyone's daunted by that thing. They want to make something that's going to last for 110 plus years or more. So they're open to, well, what do you think will work?
What sort of coaching do you give to singers and musicians when you get on Talkback? What are you telling people to help them deliver a better
I'm
performance?
telling them that love is everything because we're nervous. Like we're nervous now. We're nervous. So when you can say, I love you, don't you worry about it. Take your time. Let's just try this again. The loving aspect is so powerful in making the records that we make. The Jeff Beck record, we love Jeff. If you listen to Mahavishnu, we love Mahavishnu. Everyone we work with, we bring the love. The love is so important. We don't talk about it enough. But in these hallowed walls, it's the love that makes the person rise up and go, I can go beyond myself. I can do something that's fantastic, you know? Or wow, look, it's incredible. Because guess what? We're all together, but the music lives up here. We're all trying to serve this music.
Yeah.
Like even Aretha Franklin, when I first looked in her eyes, it's scary. She's a genius. You see the fire of Aretha Franklin. She can go to that piano and play anything you want. She can sing anything you want. But when the music comes on, she hears the music, I hear the music, we hear the music. Now we're gonna become a team together to make that music great. You know, then she's like, well, what do you want to eat? You want a hamburger? You want cheese? You want a fried chicken? See? All that stuff starts happening. Because now we're going to serve the music.
And did people like Aretha and you worked with Whitney, who we're going to listen to in a second, like these geniuses that you've gotten to work with in your career, did they need that love too in the studio, or did they come in and fucking bang it out and they were a million miles an hour and no, like Quincy never had a rough day in their life?
Okay, very good question. I will say in Whitney's case now, this is a good story, because to me, I turned down working for Whitney Houston because I was working for Aretha. And I didn't have time.
You turned down
I turned it down.
For Whitney Houston?
I did. My 110% was on that Who's
You're
Doing
working
the
with
Freeway of Love album.
Yeah,
That's
the
right.
Aretha
I didn't
album.
want to blow that.
Yeah.
Of course.
So but Jerry Griffiths is so sweet and kind, and he's so knowledgeable. He said, do you know what I'm talking about? This is Cissy Houston's daughter. I had to go back in my mind. My first solo album is Garden of Love Light. Cissy Houston sang background on that record. In the corner sat a little 11-year-old girl. That'd be Whitney. I had to think back. That was her. He says, I have a hook, but we need a song. I said, well, send me the hook. I hung up. He sends the hook. It's How Will I Know? How will I know if he really loved me? I'll say a prayer. That's a great hook.
That was a good hook.
But there's no verse. I call him, Jerry, I need verses. Can I write verses? You know? He said, let me call the writers. He called Shannon, George Merrill and Shannon Rubicam. Narda wants to write some verse for the song. They said, okay. I wrote, there's a boy. Put the thing in there. Put it together. Randy Jackson on bass, Crowd on guitar, Frank Martin, Walter Preston Glass in the Automan Studios across the way. Put it down in one couple hours. Call Whitney. Can you sing high? Oh yeah, I can sing high. No, high. How will I know? High.
You had that conversation with Whitney. Can you sing high?
Can I make sure, as I'm cutting it, you will sing that high?
Right.
Don't waste my time, because I got to fly from San Francisco to New York to come meet you. I go to New York to Media Sound. And in Media Sound, when she walks in, it's the Whitney Houston who you all have seen and just love how gorgeous she is.
Yeah.
The cheekbones, the eyes, the radiant fire, the nails, everything beautiful. I was like stunned by how gorgeous she is. And then she went in and she really knew the song. It was like from top to bottom, she fucking blew it down.
So she had studied it.
She knew it like the goddamn Bible. And I was like,
She did her
and
homework.
I said, double that over there. Harmonize it over there. Add a thing right there. You're done. And she came in and sat back and we put the playback loud. It'd be Michael, one of the Michael cats in New York. There was the engineer. I often think his last name. He played it real loud. And if you're me and I'm her, this loud jamming, she's looking at this. Like, are you checking out that sound? That's me.
Like she knew it was.
Are you checking out
She
that
delivered.
sound?
She delivered the goods.
Are you checking out that sound?
How long was that vocal session? Like
2 hours.
shook the nuts. 2 hours.
And then I said, get your mom on the phone and get her come down and do backgrounds.
And Sissy did backgrounds, yeah.
And bring her team. And she did. Down they came. And they're singing the background, but guess what? I said, Whitney, it needs you. You go out and join your mother. That's the sound of How Will I Know. Her mother and her together is a force to be reckoned with.
And when you were cutting that record and Whitney's there doing vocals and she's not yet Whitney Houston, she's becoming Whitney Houston in front of all of our eyes, and you're watching her do that. Did you know in the studio that you were cutting a magic record with Whitney fucking Houston?
No, I know it's magic, yes, but I don't know it's gonna be number one yet. I just know that she's looking at me like, can you hear what that is?
Yeah.
And I'm going like, wow, you are really a force.
Yeah.
I knew she'd be great because Jerry was going on about it. I knew she's Cissy Houston's daughter, but I didn't know she was gonna be that great. She was beyond great. She was, drum roll please, phenomenal. She was a young Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Like, damn, I thought I knew some stuff. Maybe I really don't. She brought that kind of energy.
The Steph Curry of singing.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we, since we're on Whitney, can we dive in and listen
Let's listen to Whitney.
I Want to Dance with Somebody?
This is I Want to Dance with Somebody, Whitney Houston.
See, now here's the ghetto. Black bottom.
Yeah.
See, you gotta have that for the hit. Because the top is so pretty. Then you need the bottom to be
Thank you.
with some. See what I mean? You gotta be, that's the balance.
Yeah, Whitney. In heaven, we love you, honey. We love you in heaven.
I do hear it's cool to know that you and Quincy are tight, because I hear the brotherhood.
Yes, brother.
Yeah. Can we talk about the Linn drum plus you playing on top of how did that evolve?
At the time, the machines were all new.
Yeah.
So I was just enthralled by getting the great patterns and the right sounds.
And did you program it?
I program. I spent hours just messing with them.
Now, wait,
And-
your approach to that is like so refreshing. You're a drummer.
Yeah.
And now there's a machine that's going to play drums. And instead of you being like, nah, we're going to do live drums, like you embrace this new technology and put it in your productions.
Well,
why?
you
Like
have
so many
to
drummers
be-
kind of
to
push
be
against-
competitive.
Yeah.
To make a hit record, which I want to make a #1 record. The sounds of the day were the machines. The acoustic drums you can use, and we do use, but if you had the power of that machine, and you can get it to do what you want it to do, that was the sound of the day. You had Prince making Purple Rain. You had Michael Jackson with boom, ba-dum, dum, 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 ba-gum, ka-dum, all that machinery.
Yeah.
So the power of that machine you could not ignore.
Yeah.
If I want to have Whitney Houston, get those machines to like line up. And then Randy, you ain't play the real, no, you play mode bass.
Yeah.
So it goes,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what is that? You had to have a what is that factor.
Right.
Then you can bring your other stuff into it.
Yeah.
But it had to be fresh.
It had to have the new
modern.
thing, man.
Yeah.
To be like, wow, it's gonna like, okay, this is a new sound, it's a new thing. So, and we wanted to make a new thing. We were the pioneers of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, as far as some like nerdy stuff, what were you doing to lock in with that Linn as the drummer on the track? Like, was there a special way you were thinking about it, or like playing? Because these days, if that snare's a little out of phase with the Linn, we can just. But you didn't have that option. You just
No.
had to be amazing.
No, if I'm doing a track like that where I'm gonna use that snare, then I'm gonna just double it with a tom-tom. 2, 3, boom. So on the 4-beat, I'll add tom-toms.
Were you playing kick, real kick?
No, that would be all machine kick.
Okay, so you're
no, 'cause
playing.
I didn't want to
you're
collide with it.
You're sitting at the kit. You're hearing your programmed Linn, and you're playing. You're overdubbing floor toms. You're hearing what the groove needs. Are you playing snare?
No snare.
Okay,
in it.
so
Just on films
kick
like
snare
that.
is.
Yeah,
But you're
and
doing
the
the
actual
outside
drums
stuff.
themselves were not even real drums. They'd be like what you call like those pads back in the day that could trigger the big sound, boom,
Simmons?
like a Simmons. And it'd be
Okay.
Gigi Conway with me so I could produce it till he could play the bloom extra, and I'd have myself be listening to make sure it was tight and locked the way I wanted it to sound. Had to be a specific sound. So and we would always have tight cans with the clap, the snare, the groove, the or the all those claps would be going on. So you could time everything perfectly by hearing.
Can we talk about the order of tracking?
Yeah.
Because with a drum machine like that, do you lay down the form of the song and the drum machine first, and then
Yes.
a bass part, and then like
Yes.
what is the order of tracking
Yes,
to achieve
all with the
that
drums. And in fact, as I'm going back, that was 2 machines. That'd be a Linn machine coming in big. But the first one, when you're
That's the 808 vibe.
Yeah.
that's that small 808 machine.
Yeah.
That we lock in with then the Linn. That'd be Linn coming in.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
first one, with all the clapping and busy part,
Yeah.
would be the 808 machine.
And did you? Oh wait, no. The first one is the Linn, right? You're saying
No, the first one, that little 808 machine.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be the little 808 machine.
Yeah, yeah.
Then you mix that into, when the band kicks off,
Right.
the big Linn,
The big
bass
Linn.
drum, snares,
Exactly.
hi-hat work,
Right.
clap.
And did you use the sequencer to map out the entire song, or were you laying it down on tape first? This is recorded on tape,
No,
right?
it would be like we learned the whole song, and Dave Frazier was my master engineer. David Frazier, let me say his name again, David Frazier. He was so patient with us, and we just lay the song out, and I could even move. I could even change the pattern if I needed to as the song was going down.
Yeah, you lay the song out on the sequencer of the drum machine.
And I would add, for example, the castanet into the Linn machine.
Yeah.
So I have that playing.
Yeah.
And then
And then the band tracks live
Yes.
to the drum machine.
yes.
To the
in the studio.
Okay.
The guitar, the bass, the keyboards. We lay it all out. I have a microphone so I could sing the song if I wanted to.
And they got Lindrum in their headphones.
no, this would be I'd have them in the control room.
So they're listening to the Lindrum over the speakers, and then they're pumped
Yes.
out to an amp. When
They're
he's in
playing,
control.
like in the control room there, the speakers.
Yeah.
They're playing to those speakers.
So they're just going DI into the board.
Yes.
And then they're hearing back, and so the band is tracking in the control room.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting.
That's why it's so
Would there
tight.
have been a scratch vocal?
I would do one at that time, just kind of guide the song. But then after I get the band cut, then I bring in the real singer of Katie Beethoven, and even background singers of Jeannie Tracy to lay out the song. So then when Whitney would hear it for the first time, because all she ever heard was this little demo that Clive would play for her. But then when she come to the studio, I said, sit down, and we'd play her that.
Clive
And she
James?
goes, yeah. And she goes, oh, now I get it. Now I get it.
So Clive found the song?
And he played it for me at Beverly Hills Hotel. He played me these 5 songs. This one, Where the Broken Hearts Go, and one more, but 4 or 5 ideas. And that was one of them. And the demo was you could hear it would be a hit because of the chorus. Oh, I wanna dance. That was sweet.
Yeah.
But then the magic has to come in. How are we gonna make this thing black?
Yeah.
How are you gonna make it like mean
Right.
for the ages?
Yeah.
So that's when I get Randy Jackson,
Ah.
the American Idol judge. Before he was American Idol
The
judge,
American
he was
Idol
just a
judge.
mean black guy.
Yeah.
And he could make everything sound mean.
Yeah.
He had a thing about him.
That's so good.
Yeah.
And so he's playing Moog bass.
Yeah.
And you said one finger bass.
Yeah, always one finger.
So
this would be like whoa, but everything would be playing like this. Whoa.
did he literally play with one,
With one finger?
For real? He wasn't
Real.
playing
No.
one finger bass.
One finger.
I mean, that's how you play the bass.
Yeah.
You
And
know,
was it a mini Moog? Do you know what model of Moog is?
Mini
Like
Moog.
a
Mini Moog.
Okay, yeah.
Mini Moog.
Okay. Sure.
But don't forget, Randy Jackson, like a few of the great bass players, really is a genius bass player.
Yeah.
And I auditioned him in this room, in that corner over there. I played piano. He played upright bass on a piece called My Love on the first Stacey Lattisaw album I put together. And his audition was playing the upright bass. And I was so taken by him as a person. Then I said, well, T.M. Stevens, our normal bass player, and but T.M. lives in New York. You live out here now. So can I kind of weave you into the band? And he was so open-hearted, and he brought all his magic to our new recordings. And that's how he became the guy. The guy.
How involved was Whitney with production? Did she kind of come in and do her thing, or was she like Michael Jackson, where she was having ideas for parts and form?
Okay,
and
on that song, let me just be specific. On that song, she had to learn it because she was really busy at that time. She was going everywhere, being everywhere, big star, big star, big star. And so then she may not even know the songs that well on the second album.
Yeah.
So in fact, we started with a song that she knew called For the Love of You by the Isley Brothers. She says, I know that song. I said, let's do that song first. And what was good about that, it gave her a chance to kind of rest. And then, if you know that record at all, there are a lot of harmonies. Lord, that I'm giving for the love of you. And a lot of harmonies going on in the backing. I said, you do all the harmonies yourself. And what that did was, this is the first time I ever actually heard my voice harmonize all the parts. So it gave her like a lot of confidence and inspiration. So then we went into this song. She was kind of revitalized.
Yeah.
Revitalized.
Okay, question. Big picture question for you.
Okay.
Big picture question for you. Having done everything you've done, knowing what you know now, what would you tell your 30-year-old self when you're going to, or however old you were, when you're going to produce you're starting out as a producer? What would you tell yourself?
Now, about then, I don't think I say myself anything. Honestly, I think that at that time, we did the best we could do, and it shows.
Is there something that if you had known then would have made your life easier?
No. That time was absolutely the best it could be, and it was. And I honor it, and I respect it. I'm the kind of person that looks at everything in life like every bit of it's necessary.
Yeah.
The heartbreaks, the breakups, the deaths, the things that weren't so nice, every part of it goes into making these things we make. So if you chop a bit of it out or whatever, I'm not sure it's going to all stack up. I kind of feel like that. I feel like at the time we do our best, and right now we're doing our best. I wouldn't go ahead in the future, 30 years, and say, Narda, tell my man over here something different than what you're telling him. Because I like what I'm saying to you right now, which is my honest truth.
It's like Quincy all over again.
Okay, cool.
I've never had a problem.
I never got a problem, man.
It's never not worked.
Never not worked.
Was this song done when you got it, or were you adding to the composition in the song itself?
No, it was a written song.
It was finished.
Unlike the How Will I Know, this was a written song. It just needed me to bring arranging and what Whitney would need.
And when you got delivered the song, how are you delivered the actual song? Is it a piano vocal on tape? How do you hear the song?
And How Will I Know, and then this one, they were their demos that Jerry Griffith sent me. How Will I Know, their demo, and on this one, Clive actually gave me what he had on this song.
Was Clive giving you any input, guidance, pushback, craft? How he wanted.
Clive's thing was
sound?
Clive loved that song.
Yeah.
When he loves something, then you don't want to veer too much away from what he might love, because not to say somebody has demoitis, but they love what they love.
Yeah.
So I'm always honoring the melody.
Yeah. What was Clive like to work with? I mean, you've had to deal with a lot
Yes,
of
a lot.
label people.
Clive's very passionate, intense on what he loves in a song. What he loves in a song. He gets really attached to it, and he finds pride in finding the hit song. He finds pride in finding a song. Even like, for example, So Emotional. I get so emotional, baby. When he played that for me in his office, he says, I think this can be a hit record, a #1 record. And when I listen to it, him telling me that, then I'm bringing in my mind what I want sonically to sound like.
Do you tell him that in the studio?
No.
So you don't start talking about what you want to sound
never.
like?
He's not in a studio, nothing like that. He just lets me know this song can be a #1 record. Can be a #1 record.
Isn't that crazy that this lawyer, who was not, he didn't play an instrument, he wasn't musically good, gets a job at a record label, and he turns out to just know what a hit sounds like. He knows how to hear a song and pair it with a singer and make it timeless.
Now, wait a
and
minute.
pair it with a producer.
You have 57 #1s.
A few more
So-
than that, yeah.
Can you hear a hit? When you hear a song, do you know that can be a hit? Even if you're not 100% of the time, do you know?
In my heart of hearts, yes. At the same time, what Clive had with his machinery of Arista Records, a powerful machine, to get the music heard is such a thing you have to understand. Everything I gave Clive, be it Kenny G, be it Jermaine Stewart, we have to take our clothes off, be it anything, would be heard on the hour, every hour. That's a power.
It's a hit maker.
That's a power. That's a power.
But the goods have to be there.
Oh,
If
yes.
The raw
He
material.
understood, if you take this raw idea of this thing and you do what you need to do to it, there's going to be a hit in there. So that's his genius. And also his genius is knowing and loving the great artists. He loved Aretha Franklin.
Yeah.
He loved Whitney. He loved Carly Simon. He was in love with Bruce Springsteen when it came down. He loved Janis Joplin. He loved Carlos Santana. He never speaks about it too much, but I love Laura Nyro, and he had a hand in helping Laura Nyro.
I think what you're pointing out is the difference is Clive could have the distribution and could plug it into the machine and make it a hit, right? It's just like force of the machine, right? It's just like those drum machines. Just the power of that instrument was incredible. And so it sounds like what you're kind of saying is like you need both. You need the raw goods. You need to have that instinct that this is going to be a hit, and then the distribution
And believe in
doesn't
yourself.
hurt either.
And believe in yourself to put the marketing behind it. Because if you don't get something heard, I don't care how good it is.
Yeah.
You have to get it heard. So he understood that power. He understood find a great song, and by him believing in a great song, he believed in it all the way to #1.
Did you plan?
In other words, he wasn't going to drop it.
Right.
He was going to believe something.
Yeah.
That's his power.
Yeah.
If he loves something, and you got to make sure he keeps loving it. Because, for example, you don't want to change things too much. I recall one song we did, a song called Lover for Life, where the demo had, the Sam Dees did a demo, and the bass drum pattern was in a cycle of 5s. It kept changing. It kept changing.
Wait, count
And I-
us off for it. Okay,
Like,
can
in
you
other
sing
words,
it for us?
the song would be like in 4/4, right? But the bass drum would be like, it could be like, bum, 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 bum. And it keeps kind of changing,
Interesting.
having its own life.
Yeah.
And I thought, could be a mistake. And I would fix it. And I must have made that demo dip for him 4 or 5 or 6 different times. And so, what is it that's bothering you about me making this record? He said, well, the feel. I said, well, the only thing I'm really changing about the bottom end is the bass drum pattern because it's in cycle of 5s. He goes, well, what do you mean? I said, well, you listen to your demo, that bass drum keeps moving. He goes, well, that's what I like about it. I said, well, okay.
That's so hip.
See what I mean?
He's a lawyer.
Yeah, no, but he's not just a lawyer.
I know, but that's what's so crazy.
No, he's not just a lawyer.
That's what's so
No,
crazy.
you got it wrong. He's a little bit of a lawyer. He's that much of a lawyer. He's that much of a music lover.
He's a genius who just happened to be in the body of this lawyer.
And don't
who worked
forget,
at
man, he
Regulate.
came in early on in Columbia.
Yeah.
Where they had, all those great people. Johnny Mathis was making records. All the great people.
Yeah.
See, he was been around to learn.
Oh yeah.
What are the things that you just said? You love songs. You love a great song. You're a songwriter. And I'm sure as a producer, when you're deciding whether or not to produce something, you're hearing songs. You're meeting artists. What is it that you see in an artist or in their songs that makes you want to work with somebody? That makes you think this has potential? What is it about the songs, the compositions,
Very
the
good
lyrics?
question.
What is
It's
it?
usually the chorus. If I can feel a chorus, if I can see a stadium singing a chorus, if I can see a stadium can get the chorus, if I can see a radio would really respond to how it sounded on the radio, that's my thing. That chorus. I can be brutal. I don't even care about a verse. I don't even want to write a verse. I don't even want a bridge. Who cares about those things? What's that chorus?
Spoken like a man
And
of
I'll
the
write a
80s.
chorus first.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll say, give me a title of the song.
Yeah.
You give me a title. I'll go to the piano and bang that chorus on that title. Then I'll go to a verse.
Right.
If that chorus is smoking.
Yeah.
So that's how I get into things. A chorus.
Thank you for watching Professional Musicians React. This episode went so long that we decided to cut it into 2 parts. So tune in next week for the second half of this conversation with Narada.
We're going to talk about Mariah Carey. We're going to talk about Jaco Pastorius and how Narada met Jaco. It's awesome. You don't want to miss it. Tune in next week.
We'll see you then. Bye.